Hey Troy, Matt and Jordan here. Um, we're just going to talk today about mental health and many subjects surrounding those, I'm sure. So without further ado, how you doing, Troy?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me on and talking about the topic of mental health. I mean, what's more important in this age of absolute fuckery and fakery and fucking shoveling shit down human beings' throats as if it was God's savior, right?
Yeah,
So all sorts
100%.
of ideas are coming to its end. But anyhow, it's great to have you guys on. It was good chatting with you for a few minutes beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess how can we kick this off proper anyway? Um, well, let me ask you something, Troy. Have you ever suffered any? I mean, you probably just like everybody else suffered depression and whatnot, right? Um, but there's never any diagnosings and labels for you in particular, right?
No, it took me a long time to realize what I was dealing with was anxiety, and and then I used to self medicate, my anxiety with drugs and alcohol,
Same.
and I still have that. Right, it still resides in me. I do a lot of trauma work, or at least I do as much as I can wrap my head around it, without being neurotic and a basket case about doing healing work. And
Hmm.
so, I work with my mentors and my coaches to do the best I can to face, whatever shadow or dysfunction I have inside of myself. And, years ago, I just realized, how anxious I was. And over the years, that's been my own diagnosis. I'm not a really depressive person, although I've had, some bouts of it here and there, but it's mainly for me, it's anxiety.
Hmm. Okay. So, what do you think cleared that up? I mean, aside from holistical modalities, do you feel like the main contributor was past experiences and maybe even diet back then, right? I know for myself that's what it was. Past experiences and just the way I was living my life day to day, right? Shit food, alcohol.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to take a play on it. Um, what's the question? How I cured my anxiety or?
Yeah, and prior to that, like what did you feel that was stemming from? Like the root cause of your anxiety?
Well, it's taken me years to uncover this, and I'm still working on it. So, you mentioned diet. So, 33 years ago, I had gas, bloating, indigestion, real messed up digestive system. And that got me into juicing, fasting, internal purification, herbal medicine, um, and really paying attention to nutrition and what I was putting in my body. And 30 years later, I've unwound it and I've got a pretty good understanding of, what works physically as far as eating, which things inflame my system, nuts, grains, seeds, um, soy, corn, artificial coloring, gluten. These are the main triggers, poor quality of food. These are the main triggers. So after 30 years, I believe, I see that there's two forces that are guiding and governing everything on this planet for us: yin, yang, masculine, feminine, inhalation, exhalation, catabolic, anabolic. And I believe that our curse is also our gift, or our gift can also be our curse. So my curse was my own digestion, and after 30 years, and I'm still working on it. I've definitely got my stomach flattened out in the past 5 years. Um, that was like the final piece to really get my gut microbiome on point. Um, but my, my curse was my gift. So I researched everything I possibly could, figure out about nutrition. And then the more I dug deeper, I realized it's connected to our digestion. It's connected to our nervous system, our autonomic nervous response. Parasympathetic response is rest and digest, feed and breed. It's kind of like laying in a hammock, the picture of laying in a hammock on the beach. And then the sympathetic, which is fight or flight. And because of my upbringing, my nervous system has been on high alert since I was young. And then I've since tracked that down into my gut, basically my descending colon. There's a connection that goes through my sacrum. And one of my legs got a little bit twisted. I dealt with a lot of constipation, had a varicose vein taken out of it. So there has been a lot of stagnation in the area of emotions in my gut. And then taking the time, as you guys have mentioned a couple of times in our conversation this morning, is really just giving that attention, at least to be able to feel it. Because what happens is we usually numb out or go into addiction, or we don't feel it, or anger or trigger responses, and we don't deal with it. So where I'm at in real time is, really just any triggers that come up, feeling that and going as deep into the sensation. And let me tell you, I'm no master at that. I'm still dealing with my own, pile of shit fucking right now. I think we're all in the same boat.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I think it's not that you're going to get rid of everything, but the fact that you have a shit ton of tools and you have the courage to approach it and you have hope and stuff on your side, is the complete difference, and it can really minimize it, and then you can still lead a really good quality of life. And plus, you have things to work on to fine tune, and you become kind of an expert on yourself. One thing that I did notice too is that the emotions in our bellies. I had knots completely around the lower part of my rib underneath, and you had recommended the Taoist tummy massage. So I was working on that for a good period of time and breaking those up. I think it's from holding in your reaction to a difficult situation, things like that. But to really let your belly kind of go and massage out all that stuff and breathe deeper, like as far down as you possibly can. It's almost bringing awareness for things to process that you were holding in. That was very, very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Well, I think the yoga principle, Jordan, is the mind stores tension in the body, and then it goes to the weakest point. So whether we've had trauma or a car accident, we ruminate about ideas, and then that travels down, into the neck or just into the gut. For me, it had to do with a lot of indigestion. I wasn't able to digest and take in a lot of what was around me as a child, and so I'm just unpacking that now.
Yeah, it's funny that I can concur with that too, Troy. The upbringing that I was exposed to totally wrecked my way of operating on a daily routine. And when I started reading Gabor Mate's books and Bessel van der Kolk, I think they both carried the same idea. One was when the body says no, and the other one when the body keeps the score. And I was like, holy shit, this is like gold. So all along, I'm now unpacking, like understanding how to unpack all of this childhood trauma. And now I've got tools that I can utilize to help me navigate through this more easily than if I was just to, ignore it and carry on. And I think that's why I've done the EMDR training that I spoke of before we hit record, because that really helps define, without even knowing, like you don't even have to mention it. You don't have to sit in front of a therapeutic doctor with this shit. It's an app on your phone or a YouTube a video that you just watch, a little yellow ball bouncing back and forth, and you just let your mind flow, man. Like kind of like in meditation, and you don't have to worry about coming back to your breath, allowing the subconscious to push these memories to surface, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot about that, and then it kind of erases it, right? And it's fucking dope. It worked for me, and I've been doing it now for probably 2 years, 7 months now, religiously, because I know that for me, that's what's keeping the pendulum from swinging left to right wide open, right? Along with everything else I do, my qigong, breath work, your breath work that I mentioned, that is spot on. And all these simple tools that you can invest and create this formula for yourself is so therapeutic, man. Um, all the years I've wasted going to therapy and taking medications, it's like, fuck that, man. That just suppresses it. It's a band-aid effect, and it was no longer working for me, right? So
The
So are you off all medications after
yeah,
years of being on them?
yeah, 20 years on and 3 years off, and I've got more clarity now. And I do shrooms, I microdose. Jordan and I always talk about this. He's like, well, you use that term loosely, Matt, because I took a 15-gram shot, yeah, about 6 weeks ago. And I was like, well, fuck, man, I think I needed that. My body knew what it needed and required that amount to do a really hard reset. And it was just easy sailing from then on, man. I was like, fuck me. So all that stagnant energy that I had, I was fully aware of. I didn't know what to do with it. And by putting those mushrooms in my body, and it's almost like the psilocybin took all that shit and just pushed it out and said, here, we're going to work through it. Fuck sitting on it. Man, we're not going to band-aid. We're just going to push through it, right? So, yeah.
So you took 15 grams?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it seemed like a lot at the time, man. But as I went through it, actually, we were gonna podcast, Jordan and I, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I'm fucking peaking, man. I think we should just tame it down right now. Why don't we have some bro time and just chill, man?" Right? He's like, "No, I'm good with that," because he was microdosing that day, and man, we just started fucking chilling for like a good hour or two, talking about random shit, you know?
On 15 grams of mushrooms, you
Yeah.
were able to talk?
Yeah, dude.
I was gonna say.
You know what I think it is too is the microdosing up to that point. Like when I say microdose, fuck that quarter gram shit, man. I'm taking like probably 2 to 5 grams every time, and it seems to work for me.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Like I pedal my bike to the gym, man, on shrooms. I'm in there talking to people, shroomed up, hitting the weights, and it's a good time.
I
You know?
I don't like human interaction if I'm doing shrooms. I
I'm a
prefer to
social butterfly.
go in nature. I had the intention of doing a Vipassana a while back, but I brought some shrooms with me, so that was completely destroyed. Just my own in nature, camping next to a river with no one around, and the amount of processing that I did or escaping, it was like shedding layers in kind of like a rebirth that was very energizing. And my body uh, realized in that moment how stagnant I've been and things like that. And then also just how feminized we can be sucked into in the city.
Yeah, big time.
To where you don't realize it, but you're not actually breathing. Like
No shit.
full body, you're not actually allowing yourself to just be what a man was designed to be, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like running in the wild and chasing shit down and getting shit done and defying death on the daily.
Yeah.
That's why we're so soft today. And I mentioned that I smoke dope still, but I was talking to my wife walking the beach last night, and I go barefoot, even on like trails and shit. And I was like, it's kind of funny that, we all think we're so hard and tough, but yet we can't walk barefoot on pebbled, crushed rock. Like, what the fuck, right? I was like, we're a bunch of pussies, man. And I can say that about myself. Like, oh yeah, I hit the weights and I've done martial arts, I box, great, cool. But you can't walk barefoot on fucking crushed rock, man. There's something wrong here, right? As a collective whole, we're all soft wooden pops, and that needs to change, man. Right?
And it's got to be something you feel, not something you read about. Like,
that's right.
And I could feel it when I went back to the city, just kind of being sucked back in. from being a wild man. And the unfortunate fact is that you have people who are suppressing everything because they don't have any place to express any real raw emotion and animal nature. And then they try and box them in and then drug them up, where it's like, you almost gotta look fucking insane to get actually sane.
Right. Right. No shit. So you went back to the city, Jordan?
Yeah,
we
and
living?
I've done that. I've done that a couple times. When I was living out in San Diego, I went to Anza Borrego, and then this time I was specifically talking about I went to a buddy's property out in Central Oregon, and when I like in Anza Borrego, my body was being poisoned by our culture, kind of. And a lot of opinions and a lot of no's and a lot of shoulds, all kinds of shit. And I was really unhealthy at the time. I didn't have many tools, but something intuitively told me that I just need to go out in the desert and fucking and rough it out.
Hit that
and
shit up.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend out there?
I was out there for 3 months. I got a really good deal. I got a freaking a place on Craigslist for like $300 a month in the like there's Native American pictographs around, nobody for miles. You can run around naked, scream your head off. And yeah, I got really lucky that kind of opportunity was there to rescue me.
No shit. So that's pretty therapeutic. Were you all solo?
Solo, yeah.
For 3 whole months?
Yeah, I had a roommate, but I would go out into nature and chase shit around and be wild. And I didn't read about breath work. I discovered it because I was listening to my body. And then I passed out.
The microphone's picking up all the keyboard typing.
Yeah, sorry guys. I gotta tell you, we're getting booted in like 10 minutes if I don't upgrade, so that's why I'm doing this, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Sucks. Yeah, my bad, guys.
Well, where were we at?
Well, you were 3 months out over there.
Right. So I would basically
take me all the way back. Like, what was the catalyst? You're like, oh fuck, I gotta get out of the city, and then your process of finding a place, and then going through 3 months alone.
Well, catalyst was I was living with a friend at the time, and I had gotten really into bioenergetic psychotherapy. It helped her, Alexander Lowen and John Parakis and a couple people like that. I was basically, she was telling me how it saved her life, but I don't know if she was actually implementing it at all, how it should be. And it's important to have someone that really knows what they're doing. It turned south. I was actually hospitalized probably 7 times during a couple years there. It was a pretty dark experience. And it helped. I felt I was told there were solutions, but it was very scary and hopeless, and it was just spinning my wheels. And then I had to come to a point where I just listened to my intuition and planned out my escape.
So you got hospitalized. Are you a veteran as well?
No, I've just been through some shit.
Yeah.
But the hospitalizations, that was mostly paranoia, psychosis. And one thing
what do
that
they do when they treat you for that?
Huh?
What do they do when they treat you for that?
put you on a bunch of antipsychotics and mood stabilizers, and then once you're docile enough, they let you go.
Pitiful, isn't it? It's like a captivated wild animal, and we were supposed to make that transition, but was intervened by big pharma, and they want to silence you, right? You've got wisdom and knowledge in other cultures around the world. You're known as a shaman. We can't have
Right.
that, right? The light workers, man.
Sensitives. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
really what it is. You know, we have all these labels for people that don't know how to conform to a distorted, you know, unhealthy society. And it's going to have all kinds of side effects, you know? So one thing that I found that is not talked about by anyone is that when you have these energies that, because I got into Tai Chi and then Reiki and stuff like that. And and I noticed that I could feel where the energy was at. So there's a concentration of energy in my head region, you know, we're talking, third eye was too much, right? Crown too much. So I was like, okay, I need to bring that energy down. And then I got into grounding and realized like, that's the ticket. That's the ticket for the other spectrum of depression, which is mania. And the ticket for depression was breath work and many other different things, especially your perspective on the world is what's going to keep you safe, because that's what could give momentum to what happens for anyone outside of a monastery, right? You're going to get pissed off here and there. So
Yep.
What a great process, man. You guys are helping me out right now, you know.
Nice.
Face whatever, you know. God, it's such a, you know, great time of awakening, and no stone is being unturned right now. And I'm looking for a little reprieve in the world, man, but Jesus Christ, my work just gets more intense working, you know, on myself.
yeah,
It gets more deep. The deeper you go, the deeper it gets.
Most definitely.
And I have a ton of freedom. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of freedom in my life, but yeah, the more work I do, you know, the deeper it goes, and you know, the higher vibrations that I'm here to achieve.
mm-hmm.
Or at least try, right? Just I want to feel good. That's all I want to do. I want to feel baseline of being able to feel satisfied, complete, satiated, nourished,
Right.
balanced.
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes with learning how to surf around extremism and stuff too.
You mean the extreme happening in the world where we basically have a death wish?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I was gonna go ahead, Jordan. I was gonna say something because I want to crack down on this whole COVID shit too.
Good. Let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
fucking talk about it. Let's hash it out as fucking men.
Yeah, because
You-
day one.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say day one. I've been saying this is a farce. None of it made sense. As the weeks went on, it just made more of a fucking fuckery for everybody. And I feel that if the common sense isn't out there in the minds of many, well then shit, you're all gonna be taken down with this operation of theirs. And you know, I've just joined up this morning from my naturopathic doctor's on queue with this too, and she sent me a reminder that there's this. I think the group on Facebook is called Scotia Pass or something like that, against what they're doing, like just spreading awareness about the propaganda that's behind all this. And you know, I haven't got my shot, and Lord fuck, I don't even, you know, I'm not gonna bat an eye at the idea of having that in my system. especially seeing how I was a guinea pig for 20 years, and Jordan yourself as well on bipolar medications. I'm tired of being a fucking experimental lab rat for the entertainment of these sick fucks. And, I really want to hammer this home, and I know that with my anti vax, anti mask, anti government, anti everything,